Hello. All right, doing this thing again tonight. Getting a little later start than I wanted to, but that's okay. Get this all set up. Yeah, making my announcements, letting everybody know what's going on. Uh, oh, I need to pop this out. What is going on? How's chat going these days? Anything exciting? All right. Well, we got all the rough stuff out of the way. So let's go recap what I was working on yesterday, what I got done since then. The UI has changed slightly. You might notice that the background is darker. It is no longer, it's not being drawn exclusively by like the div CSS. This SVG interface, all the Beziers and stuff like that, the overlays, they are all being handled in an SVG layer. And then the underneath the SVG layer is a pixi.js 2D layer. Pixi.js has a lot of good stuff in the API. One of the things it has, you can do meshes inside of Pixi.js. Not entirely sure how this works yet, but I gotta try to struggle and figure it out. This will be a fun one to get this done on stream. So if I get the mesh figured out, I can get the texturing figured out. If I slap the two together, and I get a good set of UVs, I don't know if the UVs are in texture space, if they're normalized, or if they're in whatever space that we have here. I also don't have a proper tri-mesh. That is something that is going to be hard to create. So I might just say, hey, I probably can't get the 2D stuff yet because I just don't have the way to build a tri-mesh easily out of this. And I don't know if I can extract it from another tool or another program. I just don't have a texturing. I could maybe make something in Blender, but I'm not that great with Blender. So it's just there's a lot of like options, and I just don't know the solutions. I guess the real a real thing I could do is just make a much smaller mesh, like pick a smaller subset of this this area and then deform it. That could be useful, and that could build me my triangles. But I think I would actually rather work on the mesh editor tool. And so the idea there was, right now I have this, the app, and there's no real, other, pages or whatever. So we'll do a new, we'll do a mesh editor. This will be the art mesh editor. So we'll do that, and in the art mesh editor, we'll create a new file. This will be art mesh editor tsx, and then I'll also create an art mesh editor.css. The art mesh editor. Now, it's originally the way this code's ultimately going to be working. So this art mesh editor needs to be a little cleaner than some of the other stuff because I don't want to have to refactor everything. The other stuff that I was writing in the app, most of the stuff we're just kind of blow out for tonight. Like I'm not even going to have most of the stuff available. The Pixie Renderer is something I just added. It's a new component that's going to go into the art mesh editor. I might not even honestly need it tonight, to be totally honest. Yeah, that's probably true. And I will probably be using just the primitive area. Just go ahead and comment that out for now. So we got a primitive area. The offset and scaling stuff's not supported. It probably is required component. Oh no, it needs to include it. It does not. So art mesh editor. All right, so I think what I want to do is this art mesh editor will just kind of start out on its own little 2D thing. I'm going to load a single image in its background. That's what I want the Pixie renderer for, is so that I can put a texture somewhere on the screen. And then the idea is that the primitive area will draw over the top of that. So I need to bring this in. Pixie renderer, we'll bring in this Pixie graphics. I'll bring in, I probably won't need the Pixie graphics, but I'm going to bring in something that can render for now. So how that thing works is it has a little graphics that it constructs, and you draw with this Pixie circle. So this idea is that when this Pixie graphics gets constructed, it then gets called to update the graphics. It then renders out that graphics buffer and updates its thing. When you update this data blob, it also calls update the Pixie circle, so it can draw from this and keep things very stateful. So that way it's all part of the React render cycle. I can kind of just move props in and out of it, and it just does the right things. All right, it's mad at me for something. What's it mad at me about? Oh, helped if I bring in React. All right, so for this one, I am actually going to use, I believe I'm going to try to use do a use reducer. So I'm going to need a const, we'll say state. This is dispatch use reducer, and then I need to come up with the reducer. I always hate doing this in TypeScript because I can never remember what the example even supposed to look like. Let's see, type, this is going to be art mesh editor state. See, mouse X number, mouse Y number, and then this reducer takes a React, dot reducer art mesh editor, and then an actual reducer. Is it state action? What am I doing with the equal sign there? Type art mesh editor action, and I can do this by putting type colon. This would be like move mouse, and then that would be payload X colon number, Y colon number, and then another one would be another one will be clicking. These always get kind of long-winded. These are going to be quite a few of them, but let's just worry about move mouse for now. We'll just do that one. Then art mesh reducer. This is then state action art mesh editor action, like this. Looks good to me. Why is it mad? Oh, why is it mad about the break? Right. Right. So all right, so this will allow me to move the mouse cursor around when I'm doing work on the display, because this will need to mutate the state while I'm dragging and dropping vertices or trying to do things against other vertices in the actual display. And I'll show you what I'm thinking on that one. There needs to be an editor mode, so we're gonna have editor mode. Just make it a string for now. I don't really know what all editor modes I might want. There probably will need to be something for like the editor, the actual the URL for the actual artwork. I got a follow from Ionic Raven. Thank you for following, Ionic Raven. Glad you could join. Feel free to join us in chat. All right, so the general gist here. The general gist here is I need to get editor mode. So I'll probably also want an editor. We'll say we'll do a type set mode. Oh, I need to do this. Type set mode and payload mode string like this. Why is this mad at me? State was used before it was defined. That's right. That was, I need to just do this here. Just return that. That's what I need to do there. Set mode. Return state. Editor mode colon action.payload.mode. So we're getting a few little things going on here. So in the reducer, I need to put, so I do this, then I do the actual reducer art mesh. Is it action? Is that what it was? I can't remember now. Oh, it is. It's action. Previous state. S and then action. All right, so now it's still mad at me because I need to also supply it the reducer. So art mesh reducer, the initial state, which we can just initial. That's gonna be art mesh editor state, editor mode, add points. Let's see. What am I calling this? So there's going to be a couple different editor modes. The most important one is going to be it's going to be two. It's going to be move points and add points. And then we also need validation for our tri-mesh, because if I have a triangular mesh, it's plausible that you can get the triangular mesh into a mode that is not like properly contiguous, and I don't want to save anything that's not a correctly triangular mesh. It may function, but that just gets weird in and of itself. So the editor mode will be we're going to do add vertex, or maybe adding vertex. And then the mouse X will just be undefined, like this. And we can do either or undefined, or I can do question marks. Like that, because we won't always update the mouse position. The mouse position will only get updated when I'm dragging a vertex or I'm trying to add a new vertex. And the editor state's also going to need to have, I guess, a list of points, right? So it's vertexes, vertex vector 2 array. I need to pull that out of Babylon.js. And so let's say be an empty array of vertices. All right, let's get this thing rendering to a page. So obviously right now it's broken because this isn't, none of this is correct. This is, I can drop this Pixie graphics thing for now. I could do this instead. Just make it like a 10 by 10 circle. Sometimes your build environment gets a little confused if you've been changing the file names and stuff. And I also need to fix, this needs to be saved. Okay, so it looks like it may load this time. All right, so now I need to drop the, from the app, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop everything out of the right panel. We're just not gonna code anything in here anymore. We're just gonna put the art mesh editor is the only thing that will get rendered in here. And perfect, it's running the pixi.js background, so that's that circle. So now we got a clean little sandbox. We can start building a bit of a mesh editor of some sort. This won't be the most comprehensive mesh editor. It won't be the best thing that's ever existed. And I think it will be a one-to-one editor. You won't have multiple meshes per graphic. So you will have multiple meshes per graphic, right? You'll load some background image up, but you'll only define one mesh and see one mesh. Just make the whole interface simpler for me to code. If I ever want to do multiple meshes on a single texture, I can still do that. I just have to think, I just have to add a few features to the existing codes. I think this will be the easiest way forward. So I got to start thinking about what it means to add a vertice, right? So the plan I have is that I need to load a picture. So let's load a background image. Let's just take what this what is in this one's texture. So there's a texture file in Atlas here, and there's a way. Let me one moment here. Add that on there. Okay, so let me go into my, I'm gonna browse this folder. This is the, so I'm looking at the epsilon yeah, there's a texture for the epsilon artwork here. So this is the background texture that this comes with. And I'm going to try to copy that over. I'll just put that into the workspace for, let's see if I can find it. There it is. And I'll put that in our public folder. And that's kind of good enough. Like, I don't need to really go into detail. So this would be the texture that we'll edit, and I'll just have that loaded up as well. So let's try to get that displayed in the Pixie. Now this is the Pixie graphics. I need to create a new element called Pixie texture. Oh, hi. You actually jumped in right the second I muted my screen so I could browse my computer. Right now I'm currently writing a computer software program. And I've been really interested in this live 2D animation stuff. I find the algorithms interesting. And so there's a bunch of stuff you can do on the screen with when you edit these. Let's see if I can find this is locked. So you can animate these characters. You can do all kinds of stuff, tilt, turn up and down. left, right. And so this is all done with mesh warping, and it's like a bunch of math that calculates how this stuff works. And so, like, so if this is if I drag this around, this point around, you can see how it warps and meshes this on the screen. You can kind of see that. So I thought this was interesting, and so I've been writing my own user interface for it in JavaScript. So that's what this tool is right now. It's a tool that does something similar to that on the browser. And so here's the tool that I wrote, and I'm working on getting textures working today. So you can see I can move the vertices around. I can get the same. This is the mesh that goes in. This is the warped area that's coming out of it. And I can move this around. The idea is that you tie this up to parameters, and then what you get out of it is you can get a texture warped image, and you get a nice little scene. You can animate it and stuff like that. They call it parametric animation. Yep, that's the general goal. So I'm just making my own stuff. Right now I'm working on a spot here. So right now the actual screen went black because I'm working on a different part of the editor. This is the part of the editor where it's mostly going to be code, because I'm getting a mesh editor set up. So the corollary to what I'm setting up now is when you actually edit a character, the character is actually made up of all these 2D parts and slices, right? And I need to be able to draw the vertexes around this this character, and define a boundary so I can figure out how to cut this up and use just this piece of the head, or cut up just this piece of the eye or the eyelashes, etc., to get the warping effect, to get that mesh built into the warping system. So that's what I'm working on at the precise moment, is getting this editor going. And so I need to figure out ways to get, everything has to be a triangle, because the graphics cards only accept triangles. That's kind of a half-truth, but good enough. And so I have to be able to set this up to build those triangle meshes. And I'm not sure how this tool does it, but it's plausible that there might be some automatic way. They might do some sort of automatic stitching of the meshes, but yeah. And that might be something I do as well. I just will set to see. So right now I'm working on editor mode. So the idea is that if the mouse is in an editing add vertex mode, then I need to then when the mouse is clicked, something needs to happen, and that would be adding a vertex. It is just a little bit different than the Hilbert Curve AE controller. That is absolutely true. I posted on Reddit years ago a Hilbert Curve. I kind of figured it was somebody I knew. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. It has got to be the wrong time of the day for you to be watching this, I think. Is it late yet? Yeah, I kind of figured it was pretty bad. 2 a.m. That's what you get, brother. That late night push. Well, it is definitely not 2 a.m. for me. It is 8 p.m. Yeah, I've been doing the streams sort of in the late evening, so it never really jives with when you're probably normally awake. We need to hang out sometime soon, man. Yeah, this is in 2D. So if you go back and you look at the animation, um, and you can just what's really interesting though is that since it's all 2D and all what's happening is all that 2D stuff's warping. And I said it when the like this first or second stream that it's like a credit to like two things right here happening, right? The artist has really thought through what she should look like when she rotates her head, and that's damned impressive, right? But at the same time, like our brains sort of like allow certain, a little bit of finesse with like making this sort of faking it. Like we just sort of believe it's 3D as we see it. So I don't know. It's really interesting how easily these can fool. They look so good and the setup for them are actually pretty easy. I've made a couple so far that aren't really good. This is an example that you can download from the Live2D website. And I wanted to build a full web-based pipeline for them so that you can come in, upload artwork, you can animate, you can set up keyframes, you can do so. This also does keyframe animations. Let me see if I can find. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so if I open up this file, so there's also these like keyframe style animations you can do where I guess she's just looking left to right, blinking, that kind of stuff. So you can get idles. And so that'll be one of the things that I'll support as well, because so it's every keyframe here modifies one of these input parameters that are all in Japanese that I can't read. But my thing should be able to do this as well. So my goal is to get to the point where I will have a keyframe editor. I'll be able to edit these. You'll be able to define animations. You'll be able to define idle states and a bunch of other stuff. But I don't know how far I want to take it. Truthfully, all I really want to do is explore the whole warping thing. But if enough people show interest, I might actually try to build it into a real tool. The problem is this is an experiment that really requires other tools. So, like, I need to build this texture thing, I think. I mean, I could probably do something in Blender, like I said earlier. But I'm going to build this texture mapping thing because it kind of makes sense to me. So I can just kind of have a texture editor. And I might use it for other stuff, too. Like, even if I don't use it for a real full-time mesh editor. I think this is all in my, let's see. I have a public folder and I put this texture here. So this is all the parts. I think I just do /texture00 as the actual PNG. I think I can do that for the default state. Oh, why is it mad at me? Oh yeah, because I don't have a URL defined. So URL. So now I need to add the URL to this the Pixie render. So I need a Pixie. We'll just say Pixie image because that's what I'll be, and then I'll specify a URL. That will just be in state.url. So now I need to come up with a component called Pixie image. View file, Pixie image, TSX. That Pixie image is going to be very similar to Pixie graphics, so I will start with this as a base. And then just refactor this. This is Pixie image. Oh, by the way, thanks for following me. It's got to get those followers up. Also, couldn't sub. What is this? Uh-huh. Oh, sorry. Followed. That's you followed me. Gotta get the terms right. Yeah, if you know anybody else that codes, man, or might be interested in kind of watching how a program like this gets along, by all means. Forward it on. Go spam all the Discord groups that you're in. Just let them know there's some badass hackery going on. That's what you do. Go do a raid or something, right? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You know people on the other side of the planet. It's fine. Like, you'll be okay. I'm gonna do you I added you as a friend. Are we do you ever stream? Do I need to follow you? Give you a follow? I want to know. You got to get on stream again. Yeah, I've been streaming every night for the last week. I want to try to keep up the pace and just kind of figure out where it fits for me. I've been doing basically Monday through Friday, right around like it's 7 p.m. ish Central and to about 10 p.m. And I've been trying to upload the videos to YouTube, although I've been slacking. I'm not the greatest content producer in the world. I need to upload a bunch more. They take forever to process. But yeah, I stream and record, and then I think my real goal with the YouTube side of it is I want to cut the streams down to where they're a little shorter, and then I can just sort of have like a 30-minute, Reader's Digest version of the stream, just so people could follow development of whatever I'm working on. Why is it being a dumb? Okay, this is going to be texture. We don't need that. Oh, we actually will do the render. So what's going on here in this Pixie image? This is so this does I'm just doing lifecycle React stuff. For some reason it just makes more sense to do it through lifecycle than it does through the class form with lifecycle than it does with functional style. It might just be a mental block on my part, but the idea is that I really just return back a no op as far as React is concerned. But this allows me to just set some options, say on this here. So in my props here, we'll just say URL. This will be a string. And the idea is that, it'll load up this URL. So I'm going to figure out what that looks like. So let me look at the reference for a pixi.js load texture. And the reason I'm doing this through the texture, like loading it like this, is I need to learn how this texture loading works so I can apply it eventually to the mesh so that the graphics, I can load it anyway. So I need to know how this works. I figured it just makes sense to figure it out now. It might also make sense that this Pixie image React primitive I've made, even though it's kind of like a low-level primitive, like if I make this primitive, it might make sense to somehow allow it to register to the main context the loaded texture or like an index, or maybe I can give it a number or some identifier at some point in the future. But we'll see. It'll make sense in a minute what I'm talking about. So when the component is constructed, I probably need to run the loader then. It says, so here we get this texture from asset, and it just creates the sprites instantly. So I'm thinking that we don't even need to do, so I probably do need sprite here, like this. And yeah, this would then I just say this dot sprite equals new Pixie sprite texture. I wonder why this is mad. Oh, right, because this is here. So this may just work. This is going to be props URL. Oh, this dot props. This dot props that URL. So this probably won't render just yet. Oh, did I? It's broken. What did I do? Right. The art mesh editor needs the Pixie image. And it's missing something. What's it missing? Oh, the update property, which I need to drop. I don't need that anymore. Oh, that worked out really well. So now, like, all the parts are loaded on the screen. Now, I'd like to be able to drag this character around, right? I'd like to be able to move this. And now that I've said that, I actually realize it might make more sense for this texture to get loaded inside the SVG context, because I'll be drawing and I can zoom and pan more easily in that area than I can in pixi.js that I know of. Well, I have a Pixie image. Let me see what this would look like in here. So this is an SVG image. So we get an image. Okay, it's not like me copying that. And what does it look like? It has an X and a Y, a width and a height. It looks like the width is required, and so is the height. That's interesting, because I don't know how to... Yeah, so if you specify the width and height, it's going to scale it, right? So that's going to be weird. So if I said, like, I don't know why I didn't... I think it's href, so href equals state.url. So this should render something. Okay, so after refreshing it, you can see that it rendered it, but it shrank the image down, so it's scaled. And there's no, let's say, because of the way SVG works, it's always going to scale that, I think. That's probably, whoops. SVG without width height renders it with a natural size. So it says it was required, but I'm wondering if that's just if you follow standards, if it's required. Yeah, that loaded up. It looks like it's the right size. I really want a background on the editor that isn't just like black. It's really hard to tell what's going on. I want one of these crosshatch patterns. So let's see if I can get a crosshatch pattern. Let's do SVG crosshatch background. Transparent. Like, I wonder if I can just pull one. I don't know. So, Lekatu Cloud asked me, when can I find my courses on Udemy? It's not a bad idea. Maybe I should I should charge for this this golden opportunity I'm giving everyone to all 2.5 streamers. I'm sorry, watchers right now. Maybe the next project I'll redo that turtle driving program, and I'll stream that live so you can so it can be had by all. Ah, I so in my little backstory there, in my Minecraft gaming group, I was sort of famous for doing really horrible things in the game, like game breakingly horrible things. Uh, Cheaty is the normal phrase, and I um I wrote a program to drive a turtle in the game. So if you have ComputerCraft installed, you could drive turtles with a Lua script that would connect to a website, and you could hook your joystick up to the web page since the joystick API allows it to work, and you could drive the turtles around in game by loading up a web page and driving around with your joystick. And it really made it easy to like go farm like random trees and shit. And you could just fly the turtle around and stare at it from a distance. Didn't have to like, and it worked out really well. There was a button that actually was just made for cutting trees down. It would just run a tree cut script, something simple. I've always talked about rebuilding that, but making it have like a web interface so that you could use your cell phone as the remote control. So you just load up the website. ComputerCraft is still a thing, still out there, still quite popular. CC Tweaked is now, I think, the de facto standard go-to on it. I don't know where I would get how I would get this checkered background pattern. Yeah, we've been playing all the mods 3 lately in kind of easy mode because they really gated a lot of stuff behind a lot of stuff that nobody really wants to work with. So I just there's an easy mode modifier in the settings, or simple mode or something like that. So we're playing that, and it's honestly terrible because you have to load. It loads for like 8 minutes, 10 minutes. If the server crashes, it takes like 20 minutes for it to fully restart, and then often it just crashes repeatedly for like an hour. So it's getting to the point where I think I would love to keep pushing that mod pack, but we might just have to abandon it just because of its sheer size. Boy, this is really annoying. I can't find programming tutorials. I can find tools and goofy like clip art things, and it's not what I want. Let's see what happens with this. Let's do Greg Tech New Horizons. I'd be tempted to try a hard one. It's been a while since I've really put myself challenges, like real challenges in Minecraft when I'm just playing. Yeah, okay. So it looks like this pattern is circles. Oh, it did a whole bunch of circles. Look at that. Okay, but it uses the this stationary rect, which is different than what I was planning on doing. But okay, we can work with that. Yeah, I just need to get, like, instead of a circle, I just do a rect. But I can't remember the actual arguments for a rect. I always look this stuff up. Okay, so rect. Oh, it's just width and height. So this is a width of 50. Let's make the width 10 by 10. We'll make this 5 by 5. Actually, probably make this 10 by 10. And make this more like 20 by 20. Okay, well, pattern units. The fill, I think I said. I think that's what I can do. Yeah, there we go. So there's like a light gray and then a fill. We'll do a rect here. I think I need to do a transform. And this would be translate 10, 10. There's the checkerboard. And so then I need to do another one of these, but its translate needs to be here. That's going to be, this one's at 0, 0, this one's at 10, 10, so this one needs to be on 0, 10, and this one needs to be on 10, 0. And then this needs to be white. There it is. Now it's fully checkered. Now it's not a background because I don't have the image drawn on top of it. I put the... there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. So I want to be able to drag this texture around so we can actually do work with it. And the way I can do that is I can do a translate here. I can do draggable, I think, because this is the draggable thing that I wrote on the second day of working on this. And then so draggable, I can set these options where I set it to button 1. And then we do this appear where I can say set offset. So let's do this as a reducer action. Let's do case drag. No, this is going to be a set offset. And in the state, we need an offset that is a vector 2. And then the default vector 2 offset new vector 2, 0, 0, comma, vector 2, yeah. All right. So that's going to be state.offset.add, state.offset.add p. Why is it mad at me? Oh, it's still not convinced this is right. Oh, that's because return like that. And I don't have my other type here. Set offset. Alright, so now I can move it. I can set an offset. I can now come down here. So dragging, we'll do this. So this is just the event, like this just builds the event. So this would be return. And it's going to be an art mesh reducer action. Type is set offset, payload, offset. All right, I was trying to middle click to drag, but it is not dragging. So what I'll do is I'll spit out, oh, it won't drag because I need to actually call dispatch here. So this is dispatch, like that. I'll force a refresh. Yeah, nothing's happening here. But that's because I'm actually not changing anything. So I'm calling the draggable, I'm actually calling the drag event, which first of all was on the wrong item. It needs to be here on the image. And now the image has to have a translate on it. So translate. And then in the translate, we can put this here. Sorry, not translate. This is transform. Transform. This is translate. This, comma, this. Then this will be this dot state, or no, state dot offset dot x and state dot offset dot y. So I may be able to move it. Oh, look at that. Perfect. So I can move it. I want to get zoom to work. So let's get some kind of a zoom function going on here. So draggable. I don't have anything to connect a mouse event to. If I put this across the whole thing, on wheel, I'll load up the debugger here. All right, so there's a wheel event. Yeah, it's it's programming is hard, and I don't have a wide group of friends, so I just spammed all my friends I knew. So I'm glad you come to hang out. It's nice to be here, man. You can watch it all and take in as best you can, or you can just hang out for the artwork side of it, so you can kind of see where that goes. Because eventually, I'll animate these characters with my tool that I'm building. Yeah, were you around for the quick little detail to kind of explain how it works? So this is a commercial tool. Yeah, the words and numbers that mean those. That's programming. That's just what it is. It's my day job. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to aim for. So this is a live 2D animator, and so you can do this thing where you can, if you have the right calculations, and all that stuff, you can warp the image that's happening here. So I have to build a lot of tools to put together all these portions of this this application, and I'm just kind of playing with it because I thought it was an interesting idea. So what I can explain to you more, like what I tackled, was the big portion of it was this here. So I built something similar to this. When I drag these vertices, you can see that the eyeball deforms in some sort of uniform way, like it just swishes and what, right? So that's a math thing. That's a Bezier lines, but you might remember them because we've all drawn Bezier lines. If you remember doing this pattern in high school ever, where you drew a bunch of lines like this on a notepad. This is a single. You ever drew something like this before? These little patterns. I thought everyone scribbled these things in high school or in middle school. What you do is you just draw the you just do this. You make a square. Like I'll do this real quick to make. Yeah, that's right. You get a couple squares. This is, I don't know. I like doing this. So here we'll do a quick one. So I'm just using the tool that this editor that I have here. This is just a simple graphics editor, and what you do is you have these. You take a line. So you click here, and then I select that one, and then I take the next point and I select that one. And then I just keep going. I keep this pattern up. I just keep going down. Down one and up the other one. So down this one and then up the other one, and then down on this one and then up the other one, and then back and back like that. And this is the algorithm. This is what a lot of the math the stuff you haven't seen yet. This is what the math does in the background, and it actually just ignores all of the lines here. And it just does some little bit of work where it keeps this point, and then it drags this point back to here like that. So you can see how it matches up pretty darn close, right? And that's what's happening, is it's just doing this infinitely more resolution. So instead of doing, 8 lines or whatever I did here, 7 or 8, it's doing like 10,000 or something. That's why it looks smooth. And so that's what my editor's goal is. I gotta figure out how those things work. And then the part you might have missed out on if you weren't in her earlier was this part of the editor. I wrote this thing, turn that off, go back to here. So I have my own versions of that same tool over here, but it doesn't draw the graphics portions of it yet. That takes a lot more work. So this is the mesh that might go over the graphic portion, and then this is what it looks like when I deform it, and this is like the graphics portion of it. I'll be honest, I could stare at this mesmerizing, like, warping grid of, like, dots forever, because it just feels so, like, yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, it is, I think it's pretty cool as well. Like, I've been, a nerd snipe me. It's one of those things where it's like, the more you think about it, the more you know. The more I just play with it, the more it's like, I can do this, I can do this. It's like, I just keep psyching myself up for it, and I just keep adding more and more to it. The first day I didn't get very far, but the second day I added a little more, and the third day, and then I completely bombed, like, on the second day trying to get this thing to drag these points. This is like considered like web development 101, and I'm sitting here really screwing it up on air, and I was just like, wow, that was a terrible stream. But that's okay, it happens, right? Like, you can't get everything right the first time. But I fixed it the next day and then got on stream and actually ended up getting a good chunk of this editor working, and then I got the warping matrixy stuff, this squishy pattern. I got that done on the 4th day, I think. And so now what I have to do is, so the goal here is this art editor that's popping up. The reason I have to edit this art is I have to outline each one of these shapes. So And I'm just debating exactly how I'm going to do that. It'll probably take a couple of streams to get a decent editor out of this. But to be honest, I'm kind of happy with the fact that the scroll worked really well without too much effort. I like that the background worked out without too much effort. So that's nice little stuff. I'm working on getting the scroll wheel wired into this thing, so I'm coding that right now. So that's what I'm working on. So and how we'll do that is I get this event when when your mouse is over this thing, the computer knows your mouse is here. And whenever I scroll wheel, that event is sent to this this component. So this is it's all confusing stuff if you don't program, but it's fine. Like what you do when you don't program and you want to do some programming is you isolate. You just ignore all the stuff you don't understand. Like I'm only focusing on this one spot on the entire screen anyway. So don't worry about anything else. Just look at what I'm looking at. And I already said, hey, this is an event. So what we're looking at here is a function. This is an attribute, and this is a function. And there's all this extra weird symbols and stuff. Well, you can kind of ignore those too, because the only thing that matters is a function is a list of instructions, and this right here is just a list of instructions that run. And I do one thing. I say console.log. Well, a console, that's what your computer is connected to. So console might be something interesting, and .log, so console.log, these are somehow related, right? Because there's a symbol between them, and then this is a relationship because of a symbol. Well, this just means spit the message out on the display, basically. So if we look down here in the console, and I refresh to clear it, if I move my scroll wheel, you'll see them pop up down there. Those are all the events for the scroll wheel doing things. And basically it's telling me that the delta y was moved to 53. And if I look at the other one, it'll probably see that the delta y was something else. I never know what direction. I can never remember what direction a mouse wheel moves when it's And then if you don't know what's going on, you look up stuff like this. You go mouse wheel event JavaScript. And then it tells you everything. There you go. So it says delta y, so I can grab event.delta y. So that's what I'm looking at, is delta y. So I want to say event.delta y, or evt.delta y. Oops, I go back here. And then I'm going to look to see what happens when I scroll. Okay, I'm getting 53 and negative 53. I don't know why, 53 is some scaled step. It's something to do with the operating system. I don't honestly care what it is. I just care if it's positive or negative. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new action in my let's say in my set of actions that I can handle. The new action will be a type of zoom, and the payload will be the direction. Payload will be direction colon number, right? So, and actually what I really want, I don't even want a number. I really want something less than a number. I want -1 or +1, but at the moment I'll just call it number. And I should be able to save that, but it didn't auto format because this is broken. And so then I can do here, I can do zoom, and then I'll say, well, what does this mean when I ask it to do a zoom? Well, I want to take all the things that used to exist on the screen, and when I take all the things that used to exist on the screen, all the different things that I've loaded up in memory and stuff, I don't need, none of that stuff's important. I'm just going to take all the stuff, and I'm not changing anything except for the zoom property. Well, I don't have a zoom property, so I need to create that. So let's do zoom, and let's put a number here. And zoom will just be we'll say a number between 0 and 10. So I'll say const zoom is equal to state.zoom. And state is just where all the things on the screen exist. It's where you might want to keep a vertex or a line or maybe like this image, the image position is all in that state, and we just keep track of that. So then I want to say like zoom plus equals action.payload.direction. So whatever that direction is, and then I want to say something like, hey, I want to say let zoom right here. I really don't want the zoom to be less than, say, -10. I don't know what that means yet, but I know that I'll eventually want something. So hey, if zoom is less than -10, let's just go ahead and set zoom to equal to -10. We don't want to get any smaller than that. And if zoom is greater than 10, we'll just go ahead and set it to 10. We don't want to get bigger than 10. And so once we do that, we can just say, hey, go ahead and take all those things that you know about the world, and remember those, but overwrite the zoom. Like, we're going to set this to whatever the new value is. And so I need to create this function here for calling zoom, and zoom will be direction : number, and this will be an art mesh editor action. And this will return a type of zoom with a payload that is direction. Well, I'm glad to hear the change of heart. It's yeah, it is. It can be boring, but it can also be like it's very fascinating to just keep building stuff. You just build all these pieces together, and eventually something amazing sort of emerges. And that's like why I like programming so much. It's like that's what I've been doing forever, is like writing code. If you ever wanted to learn to code, just hit me up on Discord. Yeah, and it will look like a pile of words and numbers that will mean nothing, and it will forever. And what happens is eventually, after you've stared at it long enough over time, we're talking a couple of months to a couple of years, programming becomes, you start to understand like 90% of what you're doing most of the time is just saying, I'm going to ignore everything except for the one thing I need to pay attention to, and that's it. That's just how it works. You just ignore everything else. Like I'm not like I can close the files on the left side there. I don't need that, but I leave it open because I might need to move around through files. I like having it on the left side. I'm just kind of used to it. But you can just drop all the details out and then zoom out, working on zoom, but zoom out on the details, and the more you sort of back off, the more it kind of makes sense. So you think of programming as like high level stuff and low level stuff. Like right now, what am I building? Well, I'm building this really cool giant application that's broken at the moment, but whatever. But I'm also just building this one thing that allows me to zoom in and out on a piece of artwork. That's all I'm working on right now. So that part's important too. So in this right here, I know that I'm going to send it a payload of direction. I'm going to do this math.sign. I think I can do that. Yeah, it's math.sign. Some libraries call it SGN, some libraries call it sign. And what that does is that just returns back the sign of a number. So if the number is -7,000, it just returns -1. If the number is +3,000,000, it just returns +1. So that's all it does. So I get the zoom. Let's see. I need to set offset. Let's do set offset action. I need to prefix these or do something with them. So this is I wonder, const actions. I could do it this way. Yeah, I kind of like that. Set offset like this. And this is zoom. And so now I come in here and I say actions.zoom like that. All right, so the initial state, I don't have a zoom setting here. We'll just set that to 0. And we have to decide what it means to be at zoom 0. So there's nothing's attached yet, but what I will do is when I'll get over to the page. When I scroll up and down, you'll see something new, and this is my zoom action that I've created, and this is the payload. So you'll see -1s. You should see a +1. then a negative, or another positive one. I must have scrolled down a couple times, and this is scrolling back. So, so that's actually calling our zoom action. Let's go ahead and dispatch it now, since it seems to be correct. And so now that we've dispatched it, what that means is it changes something in this state. And so now we have the ability to do some actual work. And so the zoom may need to change something like this option called scale. And that gets interesting because that means if we want to change scale, we want our zoom minimum and maximums to be a little different. I don't want -10 as my maximum, because that would zoom so far out that it would actually flip the image over and zoom back in. It would be weird. So I think I want the minimum to be 0.1. So let's say 0.1. That's really tiny, and the maximum should be no greater than 10. And instead of doing action payload direction, let's do it in increments of 0.1. So what I'll do is I'll multiply it by that to make it scale to that. So now every time you scroll the mouse wheel, we'll either add 0.1 or we'll subtract 0.1 from the zoom value. And I can then take the zoom value and put it here into the translate or transform. And I can put this like this. I can do state.zoom, and I can say this is scale. And since I want a uniform scale, I have to provide an X and a Y scale, so I just send them both. And let's hope. Oh, I said the default was 0, so that's my fault. The default should not be 0. It should be 1.0, like this. That should come back if I refresh it. Okay, so now if I zoom, oh, look at that. I can scroll in and out, and I can drag it. But that zoom is affecting more than what I wanted it to affect, right? Like it's affecting this background layer, this tiling layer that I have here as well, and I don't want that. That's not my goal. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I apply the zoom correctly. I don't really want it transforming this component, even though I'm capturing the event on that component. I want to only really apply it to the area that I have down here with this image. But I don't want to apply it exclusively to the image, because I might have more things on the image that I might draw over the top of it. I might draw lines over the top of that image, right? So I come over and I'll refresh the page again. So now the zoom doesn't happen on the background, but the zoom happens only on the image. And one other thing that's happening is you'll notice, see my mouse cursor is moving quite a bit differently now. I can't drag the item over. That's because I'm no longer let's see, since I've scaled the image, and when I start dragging, I'm dragging at the same scale that I was originally. Well, I don't want to drag at the same scale that I was originally. I actually want to drag at a different scale. I want to actually take this and I want to multiply. Let's see, I want to take the... So when I drag, you actually get the number of pixels that the mouse has moved since the last time it told you that it moved, kind of thing. And I need to take that and apply that to my coordinates. So I need to I think I need to divide. Divide new vector 2. I think this is it. State.zoom, comma state.zoom, right? And so originally it's going to divide by 1. Well, divide by 1 doesn't do anything. It just makes it the same, right? So that we do that. But if I zoom out, yeah, see, it all tracks. See that? I can zoom in, and then this whole thing tracks just fine with my mouse cursor. So now I've made a UI that allows me to move around this texture and maybe start putting some stuff down. Now, it's not the cleanest of UIs. It's a workable UI. It doesn't scroll. It doesn't do what's called... it doesn't zoom to the position of the mouse, the cursor. That's a common thing when you zoom in and out. This is just scaling. It's usable. It isn't the best in the world, but you know, I think I'll leave it for now because I want to work on more important things for me, which is designing these actual elements on the screen. Now I got to think about what I want to actually add. Now that I have the ability, I don't know how to use it. I think what I want to do is I want to add simple polygons first. So I think the idea for me is that it does make a lot of sense to just be able to wrap these shapes in some sort of simple polygon. And I think the easiest way to do that would be to create a square, right? So when the user wants to make a new polygon on a mesh, on a surface like this, you'll just click and drop a square on the screen and then just outline it real quick. And how you'll do that is you'll just stretch the square points out, add new points in the middle of the lines, and we can work from there. So I can split lines real easy. I know how to add vertexes and split the lines. And the idea is that you'll outline your art shape, and then you'll want to, once you outlined it, you'll want to either I can automatically generate a triangular mesh, or I can let me think through that one. You can either outline it, or I can you can define your own triangles, or I can make a tool that lets you define triangles. So either option is really great. So I think I'll go for that first step where it's just adding vertexes around the artwork. And like I said, I'll start with the simple shape. So you just drop something down, and it'll have, say, a few vertices that you can then use. Maybe a hexagon, maybe a square. You know, it doesn't matter what we do. We can always change the original, the actual thing. One of the things I need to figure out when I do a click on this thing. So let's say that I want to capture a click. I need to know where my cursor's at, and I know this is going to be technically slightly off. Well, I typed that all sorts of wrong. Okay. So I need to get a const. This is going to be mouse pause new vector to ebt dot client x comma ebt client y. I really just need to see this right here. So whenever the mouse is clicked on the screen, I want to double check that I'm getting the numbers I want to get. So this should be close to 0 up here, but it's not. It's showing the offset from this left side. So this is not what I want. There's other variables in here. Client X, movement X, page X. I don't want that. I don't want the screen X. It looks like I can only get the client X. So there's a way to get the relative position of the mouse cursor. Oh, Prof asked if what was the end goal of what I'm working on. Yeah, so what it's leading to is that animation thing that I showed you earlier, where I was moving the girl's head around. I want to build my own tool that does something similar to that. And then, like, what I'm really interested in, like, maybe is making a full end-to-end tool, like a full editor. Like, I mean, we're talking like 400 hours worth of work, I would imagine, give or take, to get to the end goal. I've already put in 30, 20, 30, something like that. So maybe by the end of November-ish, I might have somewhat of a tool that can sort of do that with really terrible bugs, and it, you know, it works for me, it makes me happy, but it doesn't work for anyone else. That's about what I would expect to have towards the end of the month, give or take. Now, there's going to be a lot of rough edges, I know, but, and then I'll have to figure out what the UI needs to look like. But I think it'd be interesting to have end-to-end, just all web-based. There's actually some, there's a couple of tools. FaceNet is one of them. FaceNet JavaScript. That's not the right one. Well, there's tools that can capture the actual position of a person's face. And so, like, what they do with these animations like this is they connect them up to live webcams. That's the goal, is to connect it up to your webcam and you can animate it. And a lot of people are doing this, like YouTubers are doing it to just, you know, have an avatar instead of like their face. I guess it means you don't have to take a shower that day, you know. And it'd be interesting if I could build a full-on platform that allows you to animate, do the artwork, animation, and then the live 2D capture, not live 2D, but 2D capture of the of your face, and then figure out the parameters, and then encode those back to this. Yeah, there it is. All right, well, that's my first. No, yeah, that's maybe someone could do it. Yeah, the VTubers and VStreamers, they're interesting. It is a thing. I haven't really fallen down that rabbit hole. What I am interested in, though, is the artwork behind it and the science and math behind building the devices. So that's what I'm doing. So maybe I'll get it. Yeah, everyone needs to have their own VTuber. Everyone needs an avatar. Yeah, what I think would be really interesting is if I keep working on this series, I get the tools down where I've built all the tools that can do this, that maybe I'll build my own avatar. It's been a while since I've really done a lot of artwork, but I could even do my own avatar, and so I could dog food the stream into me slowly becoming visible as an avatar on the screen. I think that's pretty cool. Using my own algorithms to do all the animation. Looks like I got somebody else jumped into the stream. Join us in chat. Have a bit of a little feedback, a little conversation. Oh, I got another follower. I don't know how to say that, and I really hope it's not a spammer because I keep getting a lot of those. I ended up with a spammer on the third day, and it was it's like it's a stream with like 7 people. Why do you even bother? Like, how is that going to get you anything? Yeah, I mean that's how it goes. I know I should have helped them out. I'm starting out real small. They're starting out real small. I should have just clicked on their link and gave them my social security number or whatever they were looking for, and just it's like following them back. It's no different. What I should do, maybe. So one of the things I could do to make this a little bit less derpy could have been a flourishing partnership. I don't think that would have really worked out better for me in any way, shape, or form. I think I would have gotten the short end of that stick. So on mouse down. So what I need to do is I need to get this mouse position. So let's see. We'll do mouse event relative mouse position, something like that. Aha, we can do this, it looks like. And I'm assuming that this would be a supported modern way to do things. So ebt.target get bounding. Uh-oh. we'll just say as any. We'll just pretend that it does. And we'll just ask the computer if it's supported, and if another browser comes along and it's not supported, well, that's on them. Get a better browser. Get wrecked. And just XY. That's right, I'll tell them. We should all be using the original Mosaic browser. I think that's important. I think we should keep the web good and original. Oh, that's looking like what I want. Oh yeah, that's so the top left is 0, 0. That makes sense. And then the bottom right is approximately. That looks close enough. I'm happy with that answer. So this works. Okay. But the other thing that's happening is there is this idea of the offset. I can drag this around. So when I click here on the face, let's pick a spot that I can click repeatedly. So if I click, I don't know, right here on this eyelash, I think it's an eyelash. I don't know. It looks like I'm getting 432 by 158. But if I drag this and I click it again, I get, oh, wait a minute. It's scaled already? That's disturbingly and weird. Oh, interesting. So whenever I click on the image, I'm actually, oh, okay, I know what's going on. Okay. All right, so the screen is made up of elements, right? And this element is an image. This one is a group. And up here on this group, I did an on mouse down. But the target that I'm looking at here is the thing you clicked on. So when you click on something, you get a target. I just asked it, hey, what's the pixel coordinate of the image compared to where I'm currently at? Well, that's not what I really want. It's kind of what I want, but I have to actually do the math to get there. I need current target. Current target is the thing that you bound the event to. So I have the event bound on this group, and it will only ever tell me the relative offset to that group. So if I refresh this, if I click here, I click the center of the eye here, it's 442 by 106. If I drag it over here, it's probably, 1400 by 715. So I get the absolute cursor position now. But what I want to do is now I need to take my own translation that I have, and I need to add that to that position. So I need to go state.offset. I think I just want to add this offset in. And so now when I refresh, I click the center of the eye, I get 438 by 114. And if I drag it over here and I click it, I'll probably actually get really big. I need to subtract the offset. Okay, I had that backwards. All right, again, 445, 108, drag it. 4-ish, 108, it's about right. So this means that now when I'm clicking anywhere on the screen, it actually takes into account my offset. So if you look down here, my y coordinate is 3,164. Well, that's because this image is rather large. The next thing I need to do is get the scale needs to be embedded in there too. So I need to go back and divide this by divide this by new vector 2 state.zoom. And so now, if I do it with divide by scale, I'll get the right numbers. So if I click this, it's around the 440 mark. Doesn't matter if I come over here. Now if I zoom in a little bit and I drag this back over and I click it, I should still get the, oh, I'm getting the wrong numbers here. Okay, hold on. Oh, it's because I need to take, I'm getting the numbers, maybe this is not, this probably needs to be multiplied then. We'll just keep throwing numbers at the wall until something sticks. So this is 440-ish. Drag it about 440-ish, and then I zoom. Now I'm getting the wrong answers. Getting the way wrong answers. Okay, so, oh, I know what's going on. The mouse position has to be what is modified, not the final vector, because it's the mouse position that's actually wrong when I click it. So I need to take the mouse position, and I think it is divide. And then once I've divided that to get it into the zoomed in space, I can then subtract whatever I get from the offset. So again, click the eye, 440 by 111, pretty close. That's giving me weird numbers now. That is not what I expected. Okay, that's very weird. But I will, let's go back to the drawing board with that one. That is most assuredly wrong. Also, my zoom in and zoom out are backwards. When I scrolled down, it was zooming in, and when I was scrolling up, it would zoom out. Now this feels more natural. Yeah, this is way off. My math is a little faulty on this particular. So I have, when I get this mouse position, it needs to be, I guess it needs to be offset. It really would be offset by that and then divided by this. But something else needs to be done here. It's not quite the right answer. Something's missing from my math on this one. Zoom in. Click this here. Oh, I got 450. Yeah, it just doesn't. This ends up being 598. This is off. What am I doing wrong? I guess I have to think. I'll have to just think this one through here. So this is what this file is. This is just my scratch space to think about problems when I run into things that are. So what's going on is I have a screen space, and I've created something that is zoomed in on it. And so when I click here, the top left corner, let's say this right here, what I expect to get is, say, 0, 0, or close to it. And then down here, we'll call this like 100 by 100. We'll pretend like that's what that number is. And then when I zoom in, if my zoom is set to 2.0, right? So I've zoomed in. Now my image is double in its size. I would expect this number to be 0 to 50 because, you know, we're double the size. But then the offset needs to be handled as well. Oh, the offset is multiplied. Okay, that's what I need to do. So I don't just subtract the offset. I multiply the offset by the zoom. Yes, and then I divide the whole thing by the zoom, so that puts all the numbers into the same space. That's what's going on. That's what I'm missing. So refresh this. Let's see. This should be 44108. There it was. So that's what it was. Effectively the two sets of numbers were in different units of measure until I did the other multiply. But yeah, so now I can get any. So when I drag around, I can get the coordinates for where I'm clicking, and they look about right. And so now I can start adding vertices to get our textures going. And let's see. So when you click, so this is where I have to make decisions on how I want to handle this. So if I click the screen and I'm in an editor mode, what you often want to do is you have like a sort of like a what they call model view controller kind of display for this. The idea is that one portion of the code handles all of the data interactions, one handles how it's drawn on the screen, and the other handles how it dispatches the idea of clicking something on the screen to the data. And I don't really have good separation here right now because I'm just kind of trying to figure this all out. The issue here on the on mouse down, I could make the decision here, or I could put the mouse down event into the dispatch. And I'm kind of leaning towards making the mouse down event go into the dispatch, and the dispatch state handles all the mode switching and handling from there. And I think that makes the most sense. We translate to this mouse pause here. Yeah, we get this position. This thing right there. And so once I've got that mouse position, I can say, dispatch actions dot mouse click. And the reason I would do this to dispatch it into the state management is because it allows me to then write tests that wrap around this stuff. Right now I'm not pushing hard on the tests as I could, but if I do this in state management like this, I can sort of verify my UI rules more or less work the way I would like them to. So a mouse click happens at a mouse position, and this is just going to be like a left mouse click. I'm not gonna put the button number in there because it almost always makes more sense to just make 3 distinct. Yeah, so let's just do that. This is going to be left mouse click. This is mouse position, and that'll be a vector 2. And return type colon. So we're just loading up payload. Now I need to make sure that we have an actual action to react to. All right, we're blowing up stuff, but that's okay. Why is it mad at me? Oh, because the state isn't right anymore? No. Oh, because, okay, interesting. Because it knows that it can't... Or not. Okay. What is my issue? Oh, okay. I know. No, that's not what's wrong either. I thought for a second it was because... Payloads mouse pause vector 2. Payload mouse pause vector 2. All right, what is going on here? The argument of type string payload mouse pause not assignable. Oh, okay. Action type are incompatible. Oh, weird. It just needed a typing, and then that's what it was breaking on. Okay, so now the reducer is getting the left mouse click here, and what I can do is I can say, hey, if state, dot, what is it, editor mode, and we won't, we'll have some different editor modes like we talked about before. What mode are we in? Yeah, see you, man. Good night. I hope I missed that before you dashed off, but yeah, I'm glad you could hang out for a little bit, and don't kill yourself trying to hang out and see any more of my programming streams. Why am I getting so many errors now? Okay, so oh, because I did this. Okay, so if the editor mode is equal to let's say add square editor mode. Then we're going to do something different in here, right? So if the actual the user clicks this and we're not in the editor mode for add square, then it won't do anything. So right now we're in the we're like in adding vertex mode. None of these modes are really do anything yet, but I'm going to put us into add square mode. What that means is that if we're in add square mode, let's just show that we adding square. So if I click it, it'll say adding square down here, but it doesn't do anything yet because we don't really know what that is. Originally I had this idea of holding vertices, but what I really want to do is have a concept of a shape. So I'm going to crowd up my file with more stuff, but I'm going to have a, let's see, shapes. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do a type. We'll do shape, and a shape's going to be more than just vertices. It's going to be both vertexes here, and also lines. And that'd just be like an array of an array. That's basically start end. It's an array of a whole bunch of start end sectors. So I can just do number. Sorry. Getting a little late. So this is a shape, vertices, that's going to be a whole bunch of shapes themselves. So a whole bunch of shape lists of items. So we just do shapes down here now. So now I need to fix that everywhere I refer to it if I did it all. Yep, shapes is just an empty array. All right, so now I need to create a function that creates a new shape for me. So I'm going to create a new shape. So that's going to be not up here, not here. We'll do it here. We'll do a function new square shape, or create square shape. Now, where are we going to create this square shape is important, so I need to specify the coordinates. So I'm going to put a position here, and then I'm going to do vector 2 for the position. It's really funny, I'm relying on the Babylon.js vector 2s, and I'm using pixi.js as the actual mesh layer. I'm probably going to have to drop Babylon at some point because I'm not using the Babylon renderer. So I'll probably drop Babylon, and then I will just have to go hunt down a vector library I can use that is somewhat compatible, and then rewrite all of my vector math, which is going to be a pain in the ass. All right, so this has got to return some stuff. We got some vertexes, a bunch of these, a little dash of these, a little bit of that, then lines like this. So these shapes are going to be outlines instead of anything more comprehensive. So that's going to be the simple portion of this. So I'm going to do. Since it is a square, we need to create the top left. So const top left equals new vector 2, and it would be, I guess we need like a size. We'll just call this a size 2. I probably don't know what size we really want to create these at, but I'll just allow the top right. And this is going to be negative size, comma, negative size, right? So this is top left. Then we will do positive size, negative size for top right. Then we will do, see, it'll be positive size for bottom right. And then we will do negative size, positive size for bottom left. And each one of these have to be offset by the position that we got in here. So let's go ahead and do add, and we'll say pause to that vector so that we draw a square around the cursor of the where the user clicked. So then we can just put this in the list. It's top left, bottom right, or sorry, top left, top right, bottom left. So this goes in a clockwise pattern. So it goes from top left, top right, etc. So the order of them can be important with doing graphics programming. I don't know that it's going to be necessary on this particular part of it, but I'm going to keep it in clockwise order anyway. Just, yeah, because it makes no sense to do it otherwise. So I need a set of lines. So the lines go from top left to top right. So that's the 0 line. This is now the top right corner to the bottom right corner, which is, and then this is now the bottom right corner to the bottom left corner, and then we have to come all the way back around where we go from the bottom left corner to the top left, or top left corner. And there's my lines. So we have we can create a shape. So when we click, we add a square. We want to create a shape. So that means we want to say, instead of returning here, we'll go ahead and do this, shapes. We'll make this square shape 40 pixels, I guess, and that's 80 pixels across. Maybe we'll do 50, like 100 by 100. So this will create a square shape, which it's not happy with for some reason. What's it meant? Oh, because I need to give position. So I need to put it on a mouse position. This would be action.payload dot mouse pause, comma 50. So now I'll generate a shape for that position in that location at the dimensions we requested. I then merge that into the shapes array. Yeah, that should work. And now we need to draw it. We just so happen to have a few things I could draw it with, but I think I'll just do the quick and easy way to draw it. So I want it to be drawn in here as a separate layer in this piece of the tool. So state.shapes.map shape.lines.map line. Oh, can I do it that way? I can't remember if React will allow me to do an array and an array and an array kind of thing, because this will come back as a weird thing. I might need to just do, like, instead of this, I can do like that, map the first set into that sort of thing, and then so I get the shape. So this just generates a whole bunch of empty nodes with nothing in it. And then we do the same thing again, where we have just a whole bunch of nodes. This will be the line. And in this case, we actually want a line, so we want to do, I think I just do line. And then there's like P1. Oh, hold on. There's a primitive line. I could just use this primitive line. It literally has no reason I can't use this. I'm just gonna, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll just do it here. So how this works is it needs a position. So we have a shape dot vertexes line 0, and this would be dot x. Why is it mad at me? Number cannot be used as an index type on vertexes. I don't know if I know what that bug is or what that means. That number cannot be used as an index type. Okay. It's probably more to do with this right here. Yes. And then, no, number cannot be used as an index type. What? So the shape dot vertexes okay, 0. Oh, no, that's line. It is line 0. That's vertex 0.x. Are you messing with me somehow? That is confusing as... Okay, so for each line, right, I'm going over the lines. The lines should be an array of arrays. So the line is just a 2-element array. So that should just be line 0. Oh, no, that's not it either. That's confounding. It's saying at 48. It's literally saying right here. That's confusing. Let's just do this then. Let's break it apart a bit. Let me return this. Yeah, there's probably something not right there. Yeah. And we'll say is P1 is equal to shape dot vertexes line 0 like this. All right, so it's still mad at me there. Const I1 equals line 0. I1. I don't think I understand what this is at all. We're going to have to look up the error. Get some clues as to why this is happening. Number cannot be used as an index type. Well, what is vertexes? What does it think vertexes is? It is a vector 2 array. And I can look it up with a constant. I can put a 0 as a constant, right? I can do number. I can put 0 here. And I can put I1 here. And that worked. Okay. Oh, capital number. Wow. The typings was just awkward. Okay, so P1 and then P2. p1.x, p1, pp2. Great. So now it can hopefully render lines onto the screen when I click. So let's refresh. And if I click somewhere, it did add something, but we can't see anything. So let's inspect. So it is drawing a bunch of lines all over the place. They do look like they're drawing in squares. The stroke was gray and the width was 1. Oh, the P1, P2 is probably wrong. Yep, that's what's going on. So if I click, I get a square. When I zoom, the square stays around there. Uh-oh, it doesn't move. All right, so the reason it's not moving is it's not part of the translate group. The transform needs to be done to the above. I need to do it here. I hope that works. All right, so refresh it. I can still drag it around. And it looks like it put the vertexes right on the image where I expect them to be. Although it is acting a bit weird when I click the middle click the mouse button. So let's fix the middle click mouse button issue. So when I do on mouse down here, I need to say if ebt.mouse.button equals 0. Then we go ahead and do all this fun stuff. Otherwise, just ignore the mouse button entirely. Okay, so middle click, not adding weird shapes. I can click to add shapes. So there's a shape I just added around the eye. There's another. Oh, see, that should have done the right thing, but it is not adding the shape in the right location. So I can, when I zoom in and out, these stay in the same, like more or less relative location, so they look accurate to what's being done. So I'm guessing that it really is just delivering the wrong mouse coordinate. Yeah, because when I click this, it just, okay, something weird's happening there. So I was actually working with this left mouse click. This should be correct. Yeah. Okay, so let me double check this. And that's kind of what I would expect the coordinates to be. So let's zoom out. And then I'll click the other eye. So it works fine when I zoom in and out and I click a little bit. Am I losing my... It seems to always work when I... No. Oh, interesting. Oh, it's when my offset gets to, like, way up beyond... Okay, so it works when the offset is greater than 0. But the minute the offset hits negatives, I guess... let me see what the offset looks like. Okay, this one confuses me a bit. It could be because of the way we're applying the zoom could mess with it across the origin. Yeah, so when the... Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to stop dispatching the ad, the left mouse click. So we click here and we get center of the eye is 448. If I move it up to here, it should be like, 100 or 50 or something like that, right? But we get a big number. We get 8 something, 800 something. I bet we get double when I move it all the way up there. But it works better. It works again once you move it back down. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. I kind of would like to see the offset in an overlay, so I want to throw some text widgets up there on in the SVG. Let's look that up. Let's do SVG Text. So something like this. And we want this outside of all the translations and everything else. We'll even just stick it in its own little primitive area. We'll move it to the... Let's not do it at the topmost coordinate. Let's do it like halfway down the screen or so. Oh, that would be halfway down the screen or so. This would be a little bit... So what I want to see is the offset. This dot state dot offset dot x, or this dot state offset x, comma state offset y. Did that not work? Did I not give it? I probably need to give it like a color or something like that. Oh, I also put the text inside the primitive area. Why is the primitive area getting... Oh, that's right. The primitive area had its own set of scaling tooling in it, but I don't use that. So that's a feature that's like it's a miss feature. And I probably never will because I need to be able to draw the UI. So we'll drop the scale from here, like that. And to be honest, I no longer need that, so just drop that too. Excellent. So whenever I click, I'm getting a coordinate that sort of makes sense until it gets... It's like it's reflecting the offset. Oh, I want to see this text. Is there a way to give it a color? Yeah, fill. Okay. Where on earth is that text actually rendering at? Oh, way down there. Oh, it appears my display isn't as big as I thought it was. Okay. I still don't see it. Does it need a stroke? Oh, I know what's going on. I have it underneath my background layer. Yeah, it needs to be above this in order to render correctly. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So we can see the offset moving in a positive direction this way. And it does move negative when I go this way. So when I click something, I would expect that number to be whatever my relative click position plus those numbers are. So this should be like, you know, really only slightly larger than the, was it 479 by 357? So I expect it to be slightly larger, but it is not. It's like somehow it's almost double. I could also might be the zoom. Let me make sure I don't zoom this time. Right, so there's the offset. That is 718. Yeah, so that's correct-ish. That seems about right. But as soon as I move this up to here and click it, I get almost double the numbers. So why would that happen? So I guess I should do, okay, I know that this portion's correct. So if I know that I have the right current mouse position, and I would expect, so if I ignore this right now, let's do this. Let's do mouse pos is equal to this thing here, right? I'm pretty sure that should be correct, but this could be what the problem is. Like maybe it's something going on with that. So now it won't take into account any of my zoom level stuff, so it'll just sort of be whatever it is. And if I move this outside of there, I would still expect, oh. Okay, so that's what's causing the issue. Oh, that's when I move my image to the top left corner, it's resizing the bounding box for the target element that I'm using as the, oh man. So it gets the wrong bounding client. Yeah, because, okay, so yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So the bounding client rect is not actually like affected by its rendering at all. I need something like a visual bounding rect or whatever stays fixed in the screen. So I need to either look at I need to keep this relative to the hosting div, which never changes bounding rec, which I could do, but the this primitive area doesn't give me the on mouse down, which I could probably do. So I would need the SVG's actual handler, or I could just, since it's here, I could just do current target.parent element. And let's see if this fixes it at least somewhat. So this should still be 440. This seems about right, but now I move up to here, we should get low numbers. And I do. Okay. That's a fix for now, but this is probably one of those fixes that I don't like. It probably won't really work long term. That's okay. Fix that bug when it becomes a bug. So now I need to fix all of the calculations I was doing here. Which all look fine. And then dispatch the left mouse click. What did I do wrong? State.zoom. Oh, that's right. It was supposed to be const z equals new vector to state.zoom, comma state.zoom. Multiply z, divide by z. Okay. So now if I click the center of the face, I get a rectangle that sticks on the center of the face. Click the eye, it works over the eye. Click the background. Oh, there we go. Now it's all working. Beautiful. So now I can start adding shapes and maybe editing them. And okay. So I need to be able to drag the vertices. I need to be able to also select shapes as well. So I need to be able to figure out when the mouse cursor is inside of a shape. I will probably then have to have a shape select mode. So let's do editor mode select. And I need to, you know what I'll do real quick. Probably not real quick. I need to do like a... I'm going to dump a whole bunch of these shapes just right out to the console so I don't have to keep adding them. And I'll just put them in as junk data. So let's go back. Let's throw a shape around an ear. And then when I did that, I got a bunch of these back out. I can do this to store as global variable. And then temp1 JSON.string if I temp1. And then I get a whole bunch of these demo. Oops, that's not going to help us. You can't search Google for that. I will. All right, so now I need some. I'll just create a new file. This is called demo shapes.ts. The vertexes are actually supposed to be vector 2s, so I'll have to load this data, but that's okay. So I'll come into the art mesh editor, and on this down here somewhere there's a default initial state right here. I want the shapes to be here, so I need to normalize them. So let's call this demo shapes. I need to normalize them, so const demo shapes equals wait. So we need to map it. They need to be, the output of this function needs to be a shape. So now it can yell at me until I get the right output. So return, and then that gives me lines, and then vertices, and that would be map shape. Vertexes will be shape dot vertexes.map v new vector 2 v.x v.y, like that. All right, we just copied the lines over, so that should do it. And then I can throw shapes into here. And it should work. And if I reload, I'll have these as demo data, so I'll have some stuff to work with in the editor. Oh, we got a raid going on with a party of 2. Well, thanks for joining. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we've got a few people that seem to have joined during the stream that kind of maybe recap what I'm doing if you don't already know. I was kind of interested in this whole live 2D, the animation, and I was really more interested in like the artwork and how the process, the math behind the warping. I just saw this tool and I thought it was really cool. And I was like, hey, there's only one tool in the whole world that seems to do this. I've looked around, it seems to be only this one. And I was like, well, there just seems to be more tools for this kind of thing. So why not try to figure out if I can build my own? I'm going to make it a web-based user interface so you can do a complete web-based workflow. The idea is you can just jump into a website, upload some art assets, define your image data. You know, you have to do a little vector editing right now. The UI is going to be kind of rough, but it'll be good enough to do some work in it, maybe rough around the edges. That's the general goal. And I think maybe if I keep doing this every day for about a month, I'll probably have a tool. I think my estimate was about like 300-400 hours. I'll get around about a tool that kind of works and really rough around the edges, maybe not really buggy, but just kind of a terrible UI, and then at least work good enough to make a couple animations and maybe even like a keyframe editor and some stuff like that. I think I'll even rig it. I think what I'm going to target first is rigging so that the animation tool will rig, but I'll also use some of the online webcam capture tools that let you like animate the characters with the webcam tools. So that's where my goal is. That's where I'm headed. I'm glad there's a few extra people here along for the ride. So we'll see how this works out. Right now I'm trying to get this shape editor working. So I need to say, after I'm in add square, I want to edit shapes. And editor shape for edit shapes, we'll need to know when the mouse is being moved. So that's what this mouse X and Y is for. I'm actually going to move that to mouse position, mouse pause. And this mouse pause will be the artwork layers position. So it'll be going to be a vector 2. Oh, okay. Oof. We got about 30 minutes left, and then I'm going to have to call it. So it's about 3 hours every night that I'm doing this. So let's fix the initial state on the mouse pause. So mouse pause is vector 2, new vector 2, 0, 0. So when we are in edit shapes mode, I need to do some other stuff here. So I need to get this on mouse move event that happens on this layer. So let's do that. Let's do on mouse move. Now this could affect the way the scroll mechanism works. I'll have to, or why is that mad at me? Where? Oh, yeah, duh. Equal sign. That red was so confusing. Okay, so the on mouse move, I need to do the same, same little motion up here, scale the coordinates. I'll refactor that some other day. And so the idea is that if we are in the if state.editor mode, see, I'm a little not sure if I want to do it this way. I don't want the state to update uselessly if I'm not in the editor mode for edit shapes, because that'll just be a lot of redraw, a lot of churn. Ooh. Let me define the editor mode up here so that we have a, instead of string, I'll just do it as a string intersection. Edit shapes. And then what was the other one? Was add squares. Add square. So edit shape will allow us to, I guess, select shapes. I guess maybe that's really what more it is. It's selecting shapes. So select shapes. So we're going to select shapes. Why is it mad at me now? Because there's other modes that I was looking at, I think. Oh, and this is also causes problems. Okay. This is select shapes. State.editor mode does not exist on type never. And the reason we get type never is because this is confused for whatever that means, and so the reducer is broken, but inexplicably so. Okay. Type of string is not assignable to initial state, right? Is it because I typed it? No, that's not what it is. Why would they be incompatible? Okay, I'm just gonna pretend like none of that happened. We're just gonna go back and not important to my life at all right now. So if we're in the edit shapes mode, I need to then say, let's see, dispatch actions dot move mouse, and this will be mouse pause, or and I need to add that to my actions. Art mesh editor action. That should be move mouse. Did I spell it like that down there? Okay, I did not. Did I add the payload for the mouse move? Move mouse, mouse pause. Mouse pause, vector 2, like that. Failed to compile mouse. Oh, I need to update my initial state then, which is this. Wait, I already did that. What's messed up? Oh, Oh, there was already a mouse move handler. I see. Right. All right, so what I need to do is I want to have some kind of a UI that kind of knows that like the mouse is moving around the screen. So I need to know the mouse position. That's what I'm doing now. We have the mouse position being updated, I believe, when I move, but let's go ahead and verify that it's the scaled correct mouse position for the artwork layer. And so I'm going to just kind of show the mouse pause right here. State.mouse mousepause.x, state.mousepause.y. Oh, I need to move that down a little bit. Just put it on its own line. Should be 820. Yeah, so you can see that the mouse position is getting updated in the dispatch for the state on this giant, soon to be really complex tool. All right, so we have various rectangles defined on it that are eventually be modified into shapes, but the idea is I want to be able to, come in here and select something now. So how I'm going to do that is we need a highlight. So let's get one that can do a highlight shape. So we'll say a highlight shape is going to be in the state. We can do a selected shape and a highlighted shape. So let's do that. Selected shape number and then highlighted shape number. So for me, what I'm going to do here is that when you move the mouse cursor around, whichever shape you are more or less closest to, if you're within 100 pixels of it, that'll be the one that just gets queued as a highlighted shape. So as the mouse cursor gets moved and the state gets updated, I will then select whichever square that ends up being, or whatever shape that ends up being, based on I'll just do closest to closest vertices. So that'll just make it easy. And then we can do we can update the highlighted shape number. And when you click something and you're in the editor mode, that is the when you're in the editor mode for the select shape, it will move you into edit shape mode and also set the selected shape property for you. The idea of the various modes and just the modes being so microscopic is that there'll probably be a way to automatically move through the modes on the editor as you kind of just do things. And so these modes won't be as discrete as they are when I'm writing the code now, because a lot of that will just sort of magically happen in the background. That's my hand wavy excuse for the moment. I might end up finding out that I don't want to do all that, but we'll see. So let's see if I can get the highlighted shape, and we come up with a number, and let's do that. So let's write the code. Let's set the default highlighted shape to, pick one, highlighted shape. We'll just do 0 for now, and then selected shape will be 0. Those can also be undefined, I guess, because we don't necessarily have moments when we will always have a highlighted and a selected shape. So let's make the selected shape undefined, and highlight shape will be 0, and come down to where we're drawing shapes. Here's where I'm drawing shapes. Let's turn this. Yeah, let's make a quick little shape function here. Function. It will literally just take a shape and render it for us. And so this will be shape colon shape colon shape. Like that. Oh, why did it get Oh, right. This will be an art shape. We'll just call it an art shape. And so down here, this map just for now returns art shapes. Sometimes the editor is just a little too happy to help you too much. Yeah, so art shape, shapes. This needs to return the right things. Maps lines. Oh, its return type is element. That's fine. I need to return this. Of course, there's no way to key these at the moment, but shape I colon number. Oh, shape I shape. This would be shape I colon number, and I probably should key these. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll say key. And then this would be shape. Shape I, and this will be the line index I. So, shape I is missing in right. Art shape, shape I. This is going to be shape I. Oh, I. Now I can get React to stop complaining a little bit about what I'm doing, because this is the other thing that, yeah, okay. All right, so now I have an art shape that I can update, but I can also do this now. I can add a property for color. We can probably pull these out now. Let's just call this art shape props. Type art shape props. Art shape props. Yeah, shape. We'll say color. Sure. Color string. Cool. And we'll do this here. Color or gray. Right. Yeah. And that can be optional. And I can put color here. So they should still show up as gray. Great. So now if I'm down here drawing the art shapes and it happens to be, I can say color I is equal to state.selected shape, or what was the other options? Highlighted shape. Then color should be red, otherwise undefined, because it'll go back to default. So now this one turned red because it's currently the highlighted one. I think I want to set these differently. I want to say art shape. I'm not going to send the color directly to it. I'm going to say whether it's highlighted, or selected as booleans, because it just would help with the encapsulating some of the logic. Highlighted, selected. And I can say let color equals gray, and If highlighted, then color equals red. And if selected, color equals blue. Terrible color choices, I know. Well, that's okay. That's okay. We'll always fix that later. All right, so we come back to color. We can just drop this out of there. And then this also, now we can do the stroke width. Let width equal 1. And if it's highlighted, or it can be like highlighted or selected, then it's 2, otherwise it's 1. And I can put width here, and then fix that down here where we have highlighted. Highlighted is equal to this, and selected is equal to perfect. All right. So now when it's highlighted, it's a little thicker. So the idea is that when you mouse near it, you mouse over it, you can basically select it. I'm not sure how that mechanism is going to work, but we can at least highlight them and move the mouse cursor around. Normally you would want your cursor to sort of be along the lines. One of the ways to do this is to actually take a signed distance field of the mouse position to those lines. I don't know if I want to cast a signed distance field to everything. I don't know if that's going to be slow, and I don't exactly remember how to do it in 2D. I mean, it would probably be really slow until you got within like a perimeter. So I'm going to just do it based on vertex. So the idea is that say you're within 100 pixels of a vertex, and it'll get highlighted when you get near it, and then when you click and it's highlighted, and if you click it when it's highlighted, then it gets selected. So that's what it'll transition into, a selected state. You shouldn't ever be able to get a selected. I guess when something is selected, there will no longer be a highlighted one. No, that's not true, because you could mouse over to this one and get selected as well. Yeah, during the is selected, you should be able to select a different one, right? There should be no reason why we shouldn't be able to select other ones. It just allows you to focus. And they're probably not going to allow multi-select because it doesn't really have a whole lot of meaning in this sort of tool, at least not initially. There may be reasons to do multi-select in the future. So I'm probably not going to worry about that. Just the ability to edit the meshes is all I'm worried about. So I need to be able to, so once it's selected, I need to be able to edit the vertices on that particular square. I'm trying to think of how I can edit the vertices now. Well, it needs to show, if it is selected, you know, it's funny, as I just made this art shape thing do that, but the truth is I don't want selected ones to even, I want an art shape editor now, because I need to be able to edit that particular art shape. So I need one of these that's editable. And then when they're selected, art shape editor. Yeah. And then be able to move each one of the vertices. I'll need the dispatch function passed up to it as well. Art shape editor props. And I need to pass dispatch, and that dispatch will be, I think I can just pull it out of here. reducer state, reducer action, dispatch without action, dispatch a, value a. So that's what I would call it. So react.dispatch. So this would be react.dispatch, and it would be the state type, or no, the action type. Yeah, it'd be art mesh editor action. There we go. Yeah, that's exactly right. Perfect. So that's this thing. So art shape editor props. Then we do props, this guy. And really all we're going to do is just iterate over this this mesh and give you a bunch of lines. So vertices you can drag with the draggable that I have, that I wrote earlier. So it's kind of the same thing. We probably want to copy all this logic over, honestly. We'll just mutate it as necessary. Okay, so I'm not going to carry about highlighted or selected because that's already what it is. The shape index isn't important, so it's, because it's its own thing. There'll only ever be one art shape editor open at a time. So all we need to know is these shape details. We may need to know, we probably do need to know the shape index, because I need to call the shape when I call the dispatch, I need to say, hey, I'm editing this shape index with this shape vertex, etc. So that'll be there. I don't really care, like width is always going to be 2. It doesn't need to be highlighted. It is selected currently, so it should be blue. So there's all that. So down here, though, I do want to say, like, I don't actually want to render one that is selected. I actually want that to be I want that to be kind of a no-op. Why is that yelling at me? That's not true. TypeScript, that is absolutely not true. How can number and a number or an undefined have no overlap? Oh, I see. In some cases, if it looks... It's this. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Well, okay, you win this time, TypeScript. But I'll get you next time. So it also means that art shape no longer has a selected context. Like, doesn't even matter. Like, there's no such thing as selected. It's just highlighted. So you do the same thing here. Oh yeah, I did need to put brackets around that. And then Prettier decided to make it as ugly as all hell. Oh man, that is rough. It's moments like these when I'm like, do I really need all these extra tools that I've installed? Because I mean, I really like having parentheses around it. Like useless parentheses, I don't know, it's my thing. That should be like my middle name. Okay. And we we got a big old block of broke up here. Let's see, art shape editor props. So I want a shape, and I want the shape index like that, and this one's going to be blue. So there is a selected rectangle. Let's get rid of the selected. Let's make that in the default state. We will make the highlighted shape undefined, but we'll make the selected shape 0. So now it'll just disappear because it won't draw it anymore, or it should have made it disappear. Yeah, so it's no longer drawing it, and that's not because it crashed or anything. Okay. And then what I'll do is when I have a selected shape down here, post all this stuff. This selected shape will basically jump the Z order, so now it'll be at the top of the screen when I run the. I will do the art shape editor. This guy. Well, now it needs a shape. I need to do this. Selected shape, state.selected shape. So that will be shape then, state.shapes, state.selected shape. And then what else does it need? It needs a dispatch. It needs a shape index. And that's it. I don't need the Okay, so now the editor should get drawn, but it did not get drawn because it hates me. So I'm saying, hey, if there is a selected shape, oh, because it's 0. Huh. All right, so it draws blue and it offsets correctly. And what I want to do is now draw the 4 vertices so I can start dragging them around. So that will be shapes.line.map, shape.vertices.map. So got this and this. Shape.vertices map vi like this. And then R, say R equals some random arbitrary number. I think 10 is what I've been using for a lot of these. It's pretty big. Let's go 8. Let's be different. I'll do fill. We are blue. Let's make these green. These colors are terrible. So I should have the circles now on the corners. Did that work? Or no, I drew a bunch of circles at the wrong location. Okay, why did I do that? Shape the vertices v.x v.y. Curiouser and curiouser. Well, I know that the vertices should be these coordinate. Oh, maybe it's not X and Y. Maybe I did that wrong. SVG circle. I'm pretty sure it's X and Y, but we'll see. CX and CY. See? CX, CY. Yep. So now I need to make those draggable. I have my draggable tool. So each vertex is going to be itself draggable. Is it not happy with draggable? Oh, right, because... Boy. Okay. So then draggable needs a bunch of stuff. On drag. All right, so I probably need to build a little function here. Const drag handler equals I:number. So this will be the vertex number, and this will return back a function that takes a offset, which is going to be a vector 2, since draggable is relative, and so we get the actual handler. So we'll do on drag equals drag handler, let's see, I, like that. And for the grand finale, I need to do a dispatch. So we say dispatch okay, so I will dispatch, yeah, I'll just do dispatch actions.move shape vertex. We're going to give it the relative offset. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I can give it the relative offset and the index. So it's going to be the shape index, the index for the line, or for the vertex. Yeah, vertex index, and then the offset. So let's create this function. Move shape vertex, okay. Can do that. Payload is going to be the shape I, the vertex, let's say vert I, the rel offset, offset, and why is it mad at me? Right, because it doesn't know what I'm building yet. Okay. So let's add this to our actions. Type payload shape I:number, vert I:number, and then offset vector 2. And that auto formatted well. Okay, now it's mad. Move shape vertex. I can fix that. Okay, done. So now it's really interesting that it's mad that what's happened here is that the reducer is broken, because the reducer doesn't have a default, and so without the default and the reducer, it blows up the TypeScript, because that's kind of useful, because it like always tells you. So we got to move shape vertex in the return state, something like that. So moving in the shape vertex is going to be fun. Yeah, fun. Okay. So I want to I just want to clone all the shapes. But can I do it this way? Action.payload.shapeIndex. I want to create a new shapes array. Let's just break it down step by step. Right, and when I do that, I'm going to pass the shapes off to the rest of it. And now in the shapes array, shapes action payload shape index dot vertices. I. That's action payload dot vert I dot, let's see, this one equals this plus action payload dot offset. Oh, I gotta do dot add. I don't know why I was doing plus. Okay, so dot add for the vector math. And now I need to reassemble this whole amalgamation of self-loathing. Okay, so I've modified the verts. The verts have been modified. But the shapes does not have that. So shapes, shape I, dot vertexes, is verts. This is action payload. Dot shape I, dot vertices equals verts. That should be that. Oh man, if that works, like first try. 'Cause I'm a genius, obviously. That actually feels good. Okay, so it's just not moving to scale right now, so I gotta scale the mouse position, I guess. I thought I was scaling it. It should still work no matter where we drag it to. So now the idea is that you'll be able to move the verts around the shape and kind of build like a little bit of a UV editor, and it'll be a really basic UV. It doesn't need to be accurate. That's really interesting about the artwork, is that the accuracy doesn't have to be very high for this to work well. That's what I like about this. So, okay. I am getting close to a stopping point, but I think I can push this a little further. So I'm going to, 15, 20 minutes, I think. But I think that'll be the end of it after that. Anybody still following here? What do you guys think so far? Is you still keeping up with things? Interesting? Is there anybody new that showed up in the last 30 minutes? I don't think I really followed up. So I gotta think about why. Oh yeah, so the offset will be relative, but it won't be scaled. And this is where I start to get a little confused as the right way to do this sort of stuff, because I don't want to put all the logic here, but I want all of my reducers to act in pixel space, not in scaled space. So I think it makes the most sense, and I'm gonna stick with that logic. So the move shape vertex unfortunately doesn't have access to scale. Oof. So the only place scale exists in this right now is inside of this. Okay, so then I will have to do dot divide state dot scale or zoom. Oh, right. New vector to state dot zoom. It is not enough parentheses. I feel like I'm programming in Lisp over here. Okay, so this should scale better. Again, these things move in relative positions, so sometimes they lose tracking, which I don't quite understand why, but I won't argue with it too much. Like, they also move way better when when I don't have the editor, the debugger open. So there's something going on with my tooling. So I guess from here, what I would want to do is be able to add vertices to the line art of this editor. I said I was going to stick it for another 5-10 minutes, but I don't know if I have it in me for. for 10-15 minutes to get the vertex. I think it's a good stopping point. So this is so the conclusion of today was getting the art asset editor sort of somewhat working. It's usable. It has some rough edges in the GUI, like it isn't quite, and it zooms from the top left corner. It doesn't zoom from the cursor, and I may just won't fix that for a while. And I don't have any way of extracting the art or adding new vertices yet, but I will get the vertex editor. I think I'll get that more vertexes added tomorrow, and then I'll also be able to maybe, I think I'll use the Deluni, I can't remember, it's this thing, is this it? Yeah, that word, Delani, triangulation. I think I can do that. I think that's what this is for. I'm pretty sure I can take a regular mesh and just get other triangles out of it. Is that what this is for? I could be wrong, but so I may have some like automatic tooling that I can use. Oh, look at this. Triangulate a 3D polygon. Well, I don't have 3D polygons. That's not going to help me any. Okay, I'm human. Ugh, really? Airplanes, look at me, training the computers that will replace my life. Sure. Okay, so this is triangulate polygon. This is loops. Interesting. This looks like this might be exactly what I want. Okay, so I'll leave that up, and yeah, that's where we'll be all let off tomorrow. So it's been great. I've had a really productive night, it feels like, and glad you guys could all come for the ride. So see you maybe tomorrow.